Nigeria remains one of the poverty capitals of the world.
But Mr. Obi has crossed the line so many times, and I think that at this point, he has coming to him whatever he gets, he needs to manage. Felix Morka did not threaten Peter Obi. Nothing I.
APC spokesperson has said that he's been receiving threats from Peter Obi's supporter after calling out Peter Obi in his last interview on Arise TV. Now, we're going to be looking at all of these and much more in this video. But before we begin, let's listen to the interview that Felix Morka gave on Arise TV that resulted in the backlash received from Peter Obi's supporter.
His public commentary for a man who was governor for 8 years, who left nothing to remember in Anambra State by way of a legacy or transformation. But all of a sudden, he served as governor 8 years. He didn't have the wisdom or the smarts to change Anambra State, to make Anambra the beacon, that example of, governance in the country. But then, he runs for president, in 2023. And then now, he didn't win. He's sulking rather than actually get a perspective and, figure out what he did to lose so he can do better in the future. He would think that he can bring down the government by simply, being maliciously deceptive. That is wrong. I'm not somebody to, to go on that offensive in that manner. But Mr. Obi has crossed the line so many times, and I think that at this point, he has coming to him whatever he gets, he needs to manage it.
What I think happened was that Felix Morka was carried away, and instead of him to stick to the fact, okay, this is what the president has done. When you start all those reforms and every other thing that President Tinubu did in terms of the monetary reform, the foreign exchange reform, right, and also the fuel subsidy removal, it's expected that there would be a short-term pain. And that could actually go for months and years before things stabilizes. So those are the facts. Now, you should understand that the average person on the street does not understand all of that. What you're interested in is this. One, how do I pay for my rent? How do I put food on the table for my family? How do I survive this excruciating pain? Especially when you see individuals that have been making sacrifices all their years and they see what is happening at the highest level of government, especially the National Assembly. We see what is happening in the states. We see the corruption level, and nobody has really been brought to justice. So they have a right to side with Peter Obi's assessment of the government's performance for the last few months, especially in 2024. He's claiming that he's gotten 400 threats documented. 200 of those are death threats. And I'm not surprised. So Morka actually did make a mistake there because it's all about sound bites. Nobody's going to clip the old 30-minute conversation and then try to analyze or understand. Most people and what people do on the internet is to clip that part where you say Peter Obi has crossed the line and whatever comes to him, he should face it. Majority of the people, if you ask them about what has happened, they're not even going to tell you that it was in a response to the question that was asked by the presenter. So when you put all that together, I think Felix Morka did shoot himself in the legs, and that was what led to the backlash. Now, it's expected, right? And if you've dealt with some of these hardcore Peter Obi supporters, you would know that they actually push things to the extreme. So I wasn't surprised when Felix Morka said he got 400 verifiable threats, and 200 of that was actually to the extreme.
Felix Morka, did not threaten Peter Obi. Nothing I said in that interview begins to even suggest remotely that, Peter Obi, I was asking anything other than saying to the man who was asking me a question, he said, you guys are calling him prophet of doom or, voodoo economist. And I said, well, you know what, if that is what it's called, he has, he deserves it because he's crossed the line of truth. Now, I don't know by what medium or by what, effort do you then transmogrify that conversation into a threat to Obi's life and the life of his family or those around him. That is libel in the extreme.
I know Mr. Obi likes to quote figures from Bangladesh, from India, from China, but that's not what we're talking about. Let's move to the second leg of it. Has anybody threatened you? Because your own party is saying you have been threatened. And who are those people who have threatened you? How?
Actually,
because you two you are alleging.
Absolutely.
You should also prove.
As it turns out, Peter Obi's allegation that the words I spoke in that interview threatened his life. Now, immediately, as I speak, I have documented no less than 400 threats, about over 200 of which are death threats. I'm not talking about people these are written texts that I have carefully documented and which, I'm providing to the law enforcement agencies, or people really telling me graphically describing how they intend to take me out, to shoot me, behead me in graphic language. You see, this is not a joke. And it's gone further to some members of my family who have also been, threatened directly. I'm not speaking about just, suggesting in graphic, language. You see, but, I'm not concerned about that because, what has triggered this entire insanity cannot be attributed to me. I did not threaten Peter Obi. And so anybody who is threatening me, that is their decision to do so. But, I hope that our law enforcement system will respond as effectively as possible to also, bring those individuals to justice.
That is the nature of these core Peter Obi supporters. Now, there's a lot of Peter Obi supporters that are not like that, which is fine, but each individual would determine how they want to live their life. But there is this core element in that movement that really did throw everything, And at times, some may behave as if they have a reason to do so. But I've seen extreme cases where some of the supporters, they go to the extreme, even calling for physical harm, at times calling for death, even cursing, So that's real. Now, I want to play what, Felix Morka said when he got those death threats. It's real. And if you want people to vest their power in your end or to give you the authority to make decisions over their life, then you need to start broadening your nest. You need to let people understand that you're in this for the betterment of everybody, even those that don't support you. But once you take things to the extreme, then it becomes a major problem. Because before you know it, you may think that you are the loudest in the room, but over time, you discover that your nest keeps shrinking. And that's just my own humble advice. I'm not a spokesman for any of these individuals, but I just say from my own observation is that you want to be able to ensure that people can actually trust you with their vote, trust you with what they've got. And okay, so this is what Peter Obi wrote. I asked the question because my New Year message has now led to threat against my life, my family, and those around me. Well, I've received all sort of messages. One Felix has gone further to accuse me of crossing the line and has warned that I will face the consequences. I don't think that was what he was saying, but, well, that is it. He said, I find it necessary to share this message again and urge everyone who has not seen it to watch. I had watched it. Yeah, the state of Nigeria is bad right now. But I believe that the reforms is actually going to help the country. That's my own opinion. I mean, you might disagree with me, but that's my opinion. If I've truly crossed the line, I invite anyone to point it out as I remain committed to upholding decorum. However, I will not be silenced in my resolve to speak truthfully, especially as our nation continues to drift towards undemocratic practices. We are increasingly transforming into an authoritarian state and repressive regime where freedom of expression is being systematically suppressed. May God help us create a better. So that's it. I mean, that's Peter Obi claim that this guy was actually arguing that he was actually calling for consequences, which I said, from what I read, that wasn't true. And from what he also said, I happen to agree with Felix observation from what he said. But that's my opinion. I think that the level of the rhetorics that is coming from both parties is really high. I mean, I would also say that APC's supporters they've also gone like to the extent of some obsessive behavior online, and also the same with Peter Obi's supporter. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. I think that this individual, Felix, didn't call for any harm to Peter Obi. And I also think that it's natural that when they're at that level, they receive threats. But in this case, there was no call for violence to Mr. Obi. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Thanks. If you've really loved this video, enjoyed this video, please can you help to like, share, and comment?